Sometimes a melody will start with a pickup note or pickup beat. It's just part of the tune and the way the piece goes. So what is a pickup note? The pickup note in general refers to the last note of a measure just before the next measure or just before the rest of the melody. It's important to understand this for the reason that I mentioned before, because some melodies begin on the pickup. When you are first learning cello, most things start at the beginning of the measure on beat 1. But when something starts on the pickup, then it starts at the end of the measure. And so we have to understand how that note fits into the rhythm of the piece and how to count it. The very first time this happens in the piece, in our example here at the beginning of the melody, you will see a pickup measure or an incomplete measure written in the music. This is on purpose since nothing is happening before the first note. The composer balances the piece by making the last measure a completion of the first incomplete measure or pickup measure. To come in correctly, I have to understand what beat this pickup note falls on and what part of the beat. Remember, we are talking about the last note of the measure picking up to the next measure. That single note can have varying lengths depending on the time signature. And just so you know what we're talking about here, when we're talking about the and or the pickup note, we're talking about 1 and 2. Right? It starts on part of the beat and comes in before the strong part or the downbeat of that first measure. Let's count it off and play it again. 1 and 2. Yes? Let's do it with tas and ts. Ta, ti, ti, ta. Yes? And one more time with the numbers. 1 and 2. While we are talking about this, it is helpful to understand some terminology, on beat and off beat. The beat of the piece is the steady recurring pulse that we are counting. That beat or pulse can be divided into strong and weak parts, and these strong and weak parts are also called on the beat and off the beat. The strong part or the on beat is the beginning, and the weaker part or the off beat is the after part that happens before the next strong beat or on the beat. I know it's a lot of terms and terminology, but stick with me here and it will all be okay. If we are in 2/4 time, then the other 2 quarter notes here represent the 2 beats of the measure or the pulse of the piece, and we count them 1, 2. If we divide those beats in half, then we get this and count it 1 and 2 and. You may have been introduced to a different counting system, and that is great. There are several good ones. One popular one, I use it in class sometimes, is to use tas and ts like this. Ta, ta for 1 and 2, or for all of the quarter note beats. And when we divide those quarter notes into eighth notes, we say T, 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 T. This is all important so that you know exactly where the pickup note is supposed to begin. In our example here in O Come Little Children, the pickup note is an eighth note, and there are several ways to say it out loud to yourself. It's half a beat, it's off the beat, it's the and of the beat, or it's the T, or half of the ta. When I am counting rhythms, I like to use numbers. So since the piece is in 2/4, I count 1, 2, 1, 2 to keep up with what the rhythm is doing. To keep up with the eighth notes or the off beats, I count 1 and 2 and. I know that this pickup beat starts on the and of 2. If you really want to absorb the rhythm quickly, the absolute fastest method to do so is to sing the rhythm out loud. So let's do it now. We're going to do something known as count singing. I will count us off, and then we will add the notes when we come to the first note here. Here we go. Let's get our starting pitch. So I'm going to count us off, and then we come in, as I mentioned, on the and of 2. Ready? 1 and 2. And 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1. See, we're singing the first phrase of O Come Little Children. Let's do it one more time. 1 and 2. And 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1. That's the first phrase, right? Let's do it with the tas and ts. Here we go. Here's our note. Ta, ti, ti, ta, ti, ti, ta, ti, ti, ta, ti, ti, ta. Let's do it one more time. ta, ti, ti, ta, ti, ti, ta, ti, ti, ta, ti, ti, ta. I am giving you a couple of different ways to express the rhythm because you might find that one clicks with you more than the other. This is a really important part of learning that you will hear me talk about a lot in my videos, that you have to tackle things from different angles because it helps us learn, and you never know which one is going to help you the most in the long run. It's just how our brains work. Once you are ready to move on, here is the video all about the dynamics in O Come Little Children. You can click it right here.